Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Kingz Round Table. As usual, we are joined by some solid kings in my circle of friends, and I'd like them to introduce themselves very quickly from my left.
All right, my name is Harris. Glad to be here. Hello, my name is JK, Joseph Kimondo. I'm happy to be here.
Well, my name is Danny Muveki, DM.
Okay. Okay. So, BM, this why I convened this roundtable is you did a video talking about conflict resolution, and the number one cause of separation is disagreement about even the smallest of things. So you touched on several things, and for those watching, I will link, I'll put a link to his video so that you can watch the entire thing. But I want us to deal with just one particular thing you mentioned in your video: rules of engagement. Now, we're all in committed relationships. What I'd like to know is, for you and your spouse, what have you found is important? What rule have you found is important to put either before you start disagreeing, because some rules have to be put before, during a disagreement, or even after that discussion or disagreement has happened? What are some of the rules of engagement that you found works for you, or even probably works for someone else, but you feel people can still use it for themselves? Yeah. We'll start with you.
Well, thank you for having us here again. I think it's always a pleasure being on this roundtable. And what came to mind at that point when we were discussing, when I did that video, rules of engagement is very important. Even before soldiers go to battle, one very important thing is that they must have had drills, knowing that if this is to happen, this is how we react. Basically, proactive sets of rules that help to ensure that conflict does not grow into arguments that lead to people, blowing up and becoming all crazy and everything. So for me, basically one that I've lived and practiced in my own relationship was a 24-hour rule. The 24-hour rule is well explained in the Bible. Ephesians 4:26. In your anger, do not sin. Don't let the sun go down while you're still angry. Mm-hmm. So what I realized with that point was that, Francis, we are allowed to get angry. We're human beings, okay? Situations can anger us. But does your anger lead you to sin? Now that's the problem. And so what we do is that we have a 24-hour rule. Don't let the sun go down while you're still. So we are allowed to go and marinate. Go and calm down. If probably I was going to the office, I'll continue going to the office. But I know that by the time I come home that evening, God willing, I get home, that means we must sort that issue.
But it's a 24-hour, chronological, it has to be 24. We started at, this argument was at 8:04. Mm-hmm. So before 8:04 tomorrow, it has to end. Or is it?
It is.
Are you counting a day?
A day calendar.
Okay.
Tuesday is Tuesday. Wednesday is Wednesday.
Okay.
Thursday is Thursday. So if we had drama on Wednesday, we cannot get into the next day with it.
Hata kama niko usiku, doesn't matter.
Maybe then Thursday morning. You get what I'm trying to say? As in, don't. Shida usiku ni you sleep on it.
Yeah. You
sleep on it. Sometimes it grows the rift.
Yeah.
Sometimes instead of. And so what we understood, the biggest hindrance of the 24-hour rule, because I don't want to throw a rule, but I don't understand the hindrance.
Yeah.
Is pride and ego. So if we still carry our own pride and ego, 24-hour rule will not work. It won't work.
Interesting.
Because we will hold on waiting for the other person to communicate. And time will pass. Before you know it, it's 3-4 days. So that has really worked for us. We started that probably 5-6 years ago, even when we were dating. So it's really, really worked for us. And the benefit of it, I'll tell you, is that you don't know the dramas you've had. Do you have drama? Yes. Do you have disagreements? Yes. Do you remember them? No. because they are sorted very quickly and amicably. So quickly, it's off the table.
Okay.
Yeah.
Harris.
For me, it's raising my voice. I think I'd also mention the same with you because it comes to a point where you're in a disagreement. Maybe you're right, maybe you're wrong, but you're trying to prove it to that point of, this is where it cuts it. And if your partner is not receiving it well, then it becomes that bit of, this is what I am saying, and you feel like she's obligated to go down to that route. So I figured that later on I came just to be aware that was a very, very dangerous path to walk on. And yes, so raising my voice was a discovery that don't even attempt.
And were you raising your voice when she was raising hers, or she was already at a calm state and you were still going up?
She was actually at a calm state. I'm the one who was every other given time. Maybe now I think it comes to a point where she's maybe not understanding me, and I keep on stressing the same point over and over again, and it gets to a point where she's not getting it. So I only feel the only way I could be
Just to shout it
Yes.
into her ears.
exactly just drill it down.
Drill it in by raising your voice.
Yeah, by raising your voice. What came out was like, now she saw another monster in me, and like we have had various discussions, and I told you guys, Kitambo used to have anger issues. That actually came out then. That's when I realized,
You need to sort something out.
yes, I need to sort something out in myself. And yes, that's what it came out. Yeah.
Okay. JK.
For me, timing, right timing. There are times when it is too heated to have a sober conversation. The context also. We may be in a situation and something has happened. We need to be at a place. For example, we have 3 kids. What we have agreed in principle, they should never know when we are arguing. To shield them from an emotional turmoil or physical turmoil. We don't plan to have a physical one.
Yeah.
And then also we have agreed to be kind. Even we can agree to disagree, but it has to be in a kind and loving environment.
Yeah.
So, during that time, I may stonewall. So as a man, I try not to stonewall as much, but I will stonewall when it is not the right time to talk about it. Then we can revisit later.
But do you stonewall and explain why you're doing it? Or you just go blank?
Later, not then. Because the reason why I stonewall is because we can't have a sober conversation then. Because it's a heated time, and I'll be like, let's revisit later.
So does the
Can we-
stonewalling calm things down? Does it make it worse?
It makes it worse.
Makes it worse, yeah.
So it's not a rule then.
Well,
Then-
it helps in shielding sometimes, because you see,
Yeah.
we can't. In my opinion, at that point, by the time I'm choosing to raise the wall, then it's a.
But you get what I think what we need to understand is this.
Yeah.
When I mentioned about the rules, they cannot be my rule. It must be our rule.
Yeah. What if you're seeing the bigger goal?
Now you must have rules to mitigate that.
Yes.
So what rules do we have to avoid you from stonewalling and to avoid me from trying to climb that wall?
I think for him, he said timing is good.
So timing.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Or to avoid you from
Yes.
stonewalling.
Yes.
But now on the stonewalling, now that you're there, do you discuss before it gets there? Like when things are okay, things are rosy, do you discuss with your wife that, what, when it gets to this point,
And normally,
this is what I usually do. And I usually do this because I feel this is not the right time to discuss it, or I feel nachemka, whatever it is. Do you discuss it? Because if you discuss it at that point or discuss it after, and she still sees you brought your wall up and continues to drill it, then that becomes a problem. But I feel like it is important to discuss it before. You remember, like yesterday, what happened? The reason I do this is because I feel like this, or at this point, my mind is saying this to me. And because I can't have a sober conversation, and I don't want to be liable for the words that I say or the action that I do, this is what I do. So I would prefer.
I hear you. The reason why I take that notion is because I have seen and I have heard and I have read women talk more than men do. So just to shield and to contain myself, let's wait.
Yeah, and just to agree with him, because I was in one of those predicaments back then, but in a different way, is for me what I used to do is I used to hang up, especially when we're having a deeply heated conversation over the phone. I used to hang up. Like you're saying, it's another stonewalling in one way or another. That is never for both of us. Like you're saying, if you're setting a rule that is to work, that rule has to be cut across the two of you. So I understand where it's coming from in terms of maybe it's a mitigation measure then, which is not beneficial. But like you're saying now, once you are aware, because then again, most of the time, a lot of people are not aware the effects of the stonewalling on your partner. Once you become aware and you're in a very cool, calm, conducive environment, then I believe you should be able to highlight it. Now, if you highlight it and it comes to that bit of maybe it works even for him, and as the partner needs to understand when you see he's gone quiet, maybe now he's not wanting to push this conversation. Maybe now that's when the partner now needs to understand.
It's a sign.
Yes.
The sign that she probably now, the other person also has to buy into it.
Yes.
The moment I see a stonewall, let me just stop.
Yes.
There's nowhere we're going.
Yes.
And are you, I think now from your example, I already know your character, but are you guys the ones who want to deal with the situation happen and it ends there? Or are you one to take time and then
The
come
problem
and
with
discuss
that,
it?
one thing I understand is emotions.
Yeah.
When emotions are all over the place, you might do things you'll regret. Okay? So sometimes you cannot force things to be done at that moment
Yeah.
because tempers are flared. You see, as JK is putting it, how a lot of in movies we grew up seeing guys, the alarm clock, how is it turned off? Some throw it and throw it too far. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to imagine when I stonewall my wife and she talks to my face here telling me, we must sort this issue now. Or we must finish this issue. See, the people who do that.
Yeah.
And they push you to a wall. You see, now we must mitigate fire. So sometimes you must run to avoid.
Yeah.
So I think what I know is we cannot force things to be done at a certain point. It's important that we both understand if either party has lost their wits,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
They've lost their ability to be controlled and calm. I think we must agree to just take some time off.
Yeah, sure.
And take a walk, go and drink some Lucozade, do something, do what you like. Focus on the child if you have children. They help, isn't it? Yeah, kids help to dial down the temperatures and then come back and address it.
Sure.
So, but do you, are you the ones to sort it out, your character, the way you know yourselves? Are you the one to say, let's discuss it now? Or are you the one to say, okay, can we take some time? Because I know some people who, the moment you bring up an issue, even before emotions start flaring up, they would want, can you take some time, I think about what has just been said before I react?
Yeah. So that without exclusive of emotions.
Yes, exclusive of emotions.
If my partner was to bring an issue now, she wants to talk about it. Would I want to sort it?
Yes.
Or do I need time to go and?
Are you the one to say, let me take time, or are you the one to say, you have to sort it out now?
Me, I'll say let's sort it. As long as there are no emotions, as long as it's productive, as long as it's building. Also, this I got from the Bible as well. Ephesians 4:29, I think, that says, "Do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouth, but only what is beneficial to others, so that they may gain what they listen." You understand? And so, as long as it's beneficial, as long as we are growing, as long as we are building each other, then we'll sort it. But if it's let's sort it now, but I'm there to banish her, put her down, totally rip her apart, I'd rather wait. In fact, I love timing. Timing, I think, encapsulates all this.
Yes.
Yes.
Because I'd rather choose when my wife is willing to take that she wrong. But there are times you'll be told you're wrong, you don't want to listen.
Yeah.
So I'll wait. When she's happy, everything's going well. My son has made her happy, I've made her happy. She's enjoying herself. Then I can tell her, babe, the other day I think you made a mistake in this. She'll quickly say, it's true, I did.
Yeah.
But if she's dealing with stress, then I come on top and start saying you messed up in ABCD. Human nature is defensive.
Sure.
So what happens when those rules you've set in the heat of the moment are broken? The 24-hour rule. You go talk to your wife that night. I say, I don't want to discuss this. Do you remind her of the rule, or do you force that rule because we set it? So rules have to be followed.
We have a plan B that I cannot say here.
Okay.
If all else fails, you go to plan B.
First, you know the plan B that always works.
If all else fails, plan B.
Our plan B will never fail because it's just out of this world. It's the dumbest. It's pride, guys. I think as long as one of you has to bite the bullet, one of you must bite the bullet. That is, you must bite the bullet.
Yeah.
One of you must bite the pride and ego.
Yeah.
Because if both of you keep holding it, it won't work.
Yes.
So it's just one person going super low and doing the silliest thing to the other person, and the other person has no option but to laugh. You just start laughing and busting, and you're like, okay, so let's do this thing. As in, just laugh.
Sure.
I'll tell you off air.
I'll pick on something you said in his video, and it's actually a wake-up call. That the moment you're in disagreement and you want to win, or your partner wants to win, you've already lost the war. And considering the issue of pride, it basically boils down to that. Because if I love my partner and I want the best of her, it means wanting the best for her means even the environment should be best, and whatever is best for her is best for me. So I don't think you're supposed to go and now say these are ideals that we should follow. If you're not following them, they're not working, and this is not working. I think it's just having grace in your heart, knowing that you're a human being and you're not a human doing, or a robot rather, and understanding and just, reviewing the system, the whole situation even at that time will really help to give you mileage. Because out of the mentoring, the interactions we've been having, just the growth I've been able to give, there's nothing as peaceful as just always being intentional on bringing out the best in your partner.
I love that.
That for me is a nugget of gold that I look towards. And if it means just you being lowly and reviewing your situation, even if it wasn't working to your advantage, please take that route.
Okay. For you guys who have kids, is there a rule when it comes to when kids are in the room, or when dealing with a conflict but around your children? Is there any rule that you've set specifically for that?
You know, Francis, the most interesting thing is there's so many ways to learn. Go to a class and enroll and be a student for a couple of years. There are those watching this video, they're learning something. Children, on the other hand, learn from observation. Aristotle said, give me a child until they are 7 and I'll show you the math. The Jesuits say the same thing. Give me a child until they are 7 and I'll show you the math. Children observe and subconsciously record those things in their mind. And so it is absolutely important, as Jay put it, for them, actually he said it. Number one, our kids should never
know about the argument.
Never know about an argument.
Yeah.
They shouldn't see it. They shouldn't even pick from your emotions if possible, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so you guys mask that whole thing until you get to a secluded place where you can do it. You can argue, you can have a discussion, it can be a bit heated, but then the kids are away, because kids pick and...
I'd like to counter that. See, the problem with that way of handling disagreements in front of kids is kids will grow up knowing arguments,
not disagreements.
Yes. Kids will know my parents never argue. So you get into a relationship and you're wondering, wait, what is this chick saying? My parents never argued. I know of a friend who told me that he learned the parents used to verbally fight, when, actually, like in 2019. The guy is probably 36 years old now. So he knew it when he was 33, 34. Which is very unfortunate, because if you look also at his relationships, you can tell that anytime there was a disagreement that got into an argument, he was very confused and didn't know how to deal with it. And because he's never seen how the parents argue, he thought, this is wrong. If we're arguing with my partner, this has to be wrong. This relationship is just not working. So my opinion, I feel kids need to see their parents disagreeing, but they also need to see how you guys resolve it, because that is the most important lesson. You see your parents disagreeing on something, you're seeing how they handle it, meaning you're seeing no one is raising their voice, you're seeing no one is walking away, you're seeing no one is stonewalling. That way you grow up knowing these are the rules of engagement when it comes to disagreements, because it is very unfair for you to shield your kids from this only for them to experience it later. Now there's a season for this. There's a season for your kids to actually see it. Like you're saying, 0 to 7 is the formative age of kids, where everything is put in the subconscious. Now it is important when you find that your kids, because your kids will be looking at you, most of the time they don't even say it, but you'll find when you're disagreeing with your wife or with your partner, your son or your daughters are watching. So it helps even at that point to put a rule that, can we do this for the sake of this kid? Sometimes you can't chase your kid away from the room. There's some situations, maybe you're in the car. Okay, can we, even telling your wife, can we park this and discuss later, is important for your kids to see. Like, yes, my parents disagreed on this, but what they usually do is they park it for a later time. They try and shield us, like you're saying, they try and shield us from it, but not entirely showing your kids that mom and dad do not argue. Because
my only disagreement with that thing would be, I agree with it, but let's probably have a nursery school teacher here for our next talk. Children are snitches. Kids, if you want to know how a house is being run, let's go to Sunday school. And talk to the children.
That's true.
They'll always say, Mama does this, Daddy does this. So I think as parents, we really dropped the ball, that I don't think we are at a point where we can allow our kids, because if, Francis, our rules of engagement are working, if our conversations are working, then I love what you're saying, because then the kids will see the beginning and the end. The problems a lot of times, they are only spectators of a few things. They spectate a heated moment. They spectate something. They don't get the whole picture. You understand the way we talk about also these videos? It's very important for someone to watch the whole context. As Kimondo said, context of an argument. Because sometimes an argument can be, or a discussion can be picked. They pick what they want to use, like in media, what they do. They pick what they want to use and say, Daniel Mudaki said this. Daniel Mudaki said, my son is pissing me off. What is I saying? Jesus wept. Why was he weeping? Read pre-context and understand why. So it is an absolutely important thing. Let our children see. Let them learn from us.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
But are we mature enough to show them the right thing?
Yes.
Or will we show them stonewalling?
Yes.
I'm not saying it's your bad thing. I'm saying will you show stonewalling? Will you show them when I get pissed and I also keep quiet? When my wife keeps quiet and stops talking? When Harris raises his voice 3-4 times sometimes? That is, yes, what life is about. But I think the best thing could be, we could later have our kids around. The way we were talking about your daughters. The way you tell them, mom and daddy always argue sometimes about things. Like yesterday, you wanted to take bread for school. Mom wanted you to take a biscuit. But I wanted bread. Me and mommy had a disagreement, but we agreed that we can take bread today and then eat tomorrow. So people argue, but we agree. So maybe those lessons for the kids, we can try and make them practical lessons where we sit them down. Because I think sometimes the rules are not the rules. Sometimes things can be crazy that you forget kids are there. You know, sometimes we do that, and you forget the kids are there, and you say something.
Yeah.
Then now you have to start. Okay, does the kids see? Did they not see?
Let me tell you a rule I had someone say, which it can work, but it's very difficult, especially if, like you're saying, if both of you are not mature enough to notice it. So this couple decided whether we agree on something or not, we'll have to hug at the end. One is we have to look at each other. Two is we have to hug. Now the hug was for them, but also for the kids. The kids know my parents argued, but every time after an argument they hugged. So the kid grows up knowing, because at some point they won't understand what you're saying, but they'll be able to see. So because they're taking in that, they decided every time, hata kama nitakuwa na hug nasema wewe ngoja kwanza kesho utaona. Whatever it is, but the kid sees these two are hugging.
Yeah.
They disagreed, and you can even say so. And usually after that, they tell the kids, "Daddy, mommy, sorry, mom and dad were not seeing eye to eye on this, but we are now okay." And sometimes all they've done is just packed it for a later date.
I like that.
But it is important for the kids to see what is happening, because sometimes they don't understand when you tell them. But it's important for them to see. So I like also the timing issue. Timing is very important. That and you guys know, you've been in committed relationships for a while. You can't just say what you feel all the time.
Yeah, sure.
There is it never goes okay.
It's true.
You will be in a very short committed relationship.
Very short. So
Very short.
timing is important. Always, and also know your partner. And that's why timing comes
That's
in.
very key,
You
actually.
know for a fact.
They walked in.
Yes. Or
Let me
you know
practice.
they're active in the morning. Like personally, my wife is active in the morning.
Yeah.
So if I want to bring in something or want to bring up something, I can bring it up then, because she's more in touch with herself then. I'm an evening person, so you can understand how things happen in my house. It's very difficult to have a discussion unless you have it lunchtime. Lunchtime is best because now everyone is
Strikes the middle.
yeah. But most of the times, something happens at night, and that's now for me the 24-hour rule. It has never worked in my house. It is very unfortunate,
But it can work for you in a way. Now you would have days. Yours is hours. Because
yes.
the drama hit at 11:56 p.m. So by 11:56 p.m. the next day, we have had a chance to have her morning time. We have had a chance to have your evening
My
time.
evening time.
We have had a chance to remember pride and ego doesn't help.
Yeah.
It destroys. We have had a chance to remember one person must come down.
Yeah.
Either you or her.
Yeah. So I understand that some in different families, some arguments might be too extreme to deal with them in
24 hours.
but what a rule, if I can pick from yours that I found, is use the shortest time possible to resolve it, because do not give the devil a foothold. In the time that you guys are separated and you're saying let's take some time and breathe and whatever, in that time, that is when now the devil will come and show you things that you have, things you wished. Let's say you're arguing about your wife is not serving you food, and then you get to work and someone says, "Oh, I brought this for you." I'm like, "Hi." And this is the period you decided, let's take some time before we address this. Or maybe your wife does not cook for you every time, which is another issue. Your wife should not cook for you every time. Anyway, maybe that is your argument in the house, or you're arguing about responsibilities. At that time, that downtime is when the devil can bring in. Again, I'm saying the devil because the devil has a hand, but sometimes it's just our own nature, which we play or we take advantage of. So it's important for you to take that time, but also come back as fast as possible, because that is a time, that downtime is important for you to regroup, but it's also important for you to take care. Then another thing is, if in that in the heat of the moment, you find that both of you cannot agree on something, it is still okay to agree that you have different opinions.
Sure.
Agree to disagree, that you know what, you see it that way, I understand. I see it differently. like your examples.
Speak to the camera. They need to hear that one.
Yes.
That one they need to understand.
Yeah.
So,
Big time.
For real, by the way.
and
Yeah.
this is now my parting shot. Actually, I don't know if you guys have parting shots, or I can end it here.
I have a parting shot.
Yeah.
Okay,
I haven't spoken
let's just
for
go around
30
and then
hours.
I'll
Yeah.
finish with this. Let's start with you, JK.
Yeah.
Last.
In conflict resolution, for every action, there's an equal opposite reaction.
Yeah.
That is why you need to get the right time, use the kind words that you can to deal with this situation. Don't involve the kids in conflict resolution so that they side with the mother or they side with the father.
Don't use the kids.
Yes,
Yeah.
don't use the kids. Don't manipulate them. You're both parents, and your relationship, you should handle it differently and deal with the conflicts differently. Acknowledge that you're not perfect, both of you, and be ready to get feedback.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. Haris?
For me, one thing that has always been resounding in my mind, I was told that, and not to bring like a totally different aspect of this, is when you read the Bible and you don't understand anything, pick on one thing: love. Then, of course, we've had faith, hope, love, but the greatest of this all is love. And then 2 Corinthians 13 breaks down love in a very different perspective, not the feeling bit of it. So for me, that's one thing I've come to learn. At the end of the day, love conquers all. That should be your main end goal in every bit of a conflict. Yeah.
Okay. Done.
Wow, bro, you took the words right out of my mouth. Because that's actually a conversation I had with my wife. Everything I do it because I love you.
Yeah.
And so we really, really make sure that it is to build. If I know I'm destroying, I'm quiet. If I know I'm not going to build her, I'm quiet. So love, and the love for Corinthians, and you've said,
Yeah.
love is patient, love is
That's
kind, forgives, keeps no record of wrongs, does not hurt, is not selfish,
Yeah.
is not envious.
Yeah.
That's the love. I think you've
Yes.
mentioned it. Point on.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's my parting shot.
Okay. So let me piggyback on that. Love is action.
Yeah.
It's not just the words you say,
the
it's
feeling.
also the action you do. So men and women are different, and you'll see that if you watch Mudeki's video with the link down below. But men and women are different, and you must realize that we are totally different. So understanding that difference will also help. But also, anytime you have a disagreement, if love is a foundation, then you know whatever you are discussing is to benefit the other person. And it is okay to agree to disagree. Agree that you guys have different views.
Yeah.
When it comes to kids, maybe I give my son a cookie, and my wife says my son needs to eat healthy. At that point, maybe I was justifying it, saying it's just one cookie, it's just a
Yeah.
small thing.
Yeah.
But agree that you have different opinions, and I've seen this practically. With time, one of you will actually go on board with the other.
Yes.
Given time and a lot of prayer and a lot of working on it, that disagreement where you guys decided you have different opinions, somehow I'll start saying, okay, maybe my wife was right. Eating a cookie here and there is not so good, because now he'll get used to it. So when you guys have disagreements, put rules. You've heard of all the rules here. They might work for you, they might not. Find a rule that works, or find rules that work for you. But find rules that make sure you have the shortest time possible between disagreements, because that love can be lost there, and there's so much that can be done in that downtime that will destroy your relationship. So thank you very much for watching this video, and we will see you on the next one. Thank you and good night.